Today in the crypto space, we're seeing a bit of negativity. Bitcoin right around 112,500, Ethereum right around $4,200, down approximately 1% for the heavyweights. Ultimately, the altcoins are very hesitant at this moment, waiting for Bitcoin and Ethereum to make some critical decisions. Are we coming down? Are we going to get dragged down further? And of course, I want to make sure that we stay one step ahead here. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, guys, I want to talk about one project, a larger cap, and that project is called HBAR Hedera hashgraph. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunity, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on with the general market first. We'll scrape to the top 100, and then we'll jump right into the HBAR price charts. At the end of the day, guys, we're seeing a bit of negativity. We see that the total market cap is still dropping. You know, we did get hesitant once again right around that $4 trillion mark. And unfortunately, the sell-off, there's a bit of a sell-off. Trading volume did dip. That's a good sign, at least, when we see the market cap fall, when we see sell-offs. To see the fact that the market is not that interested, market participation dipped, that's not a bad sign. That means that maybe when we start to get relief, we'll start to see market participation come back in with some strength, volume to the upside when we pump to the upside and recover. Definitely possible. But as we scrape to the top 100, you can see that Bitcoin's still in its downtrend, despite the bit of relief that we had yesterday and the day before. Ethereum, the same thing, a bit of a dip here, down 1%. It's nothing major, to be honest. Nothing's really happening today. It's one of those boring sideways days, but still with the red and the negativity, I can imagine that maybe there's some random projects that are dipping more than expected, particularly the ones that, done well. For example, Chainlink, it's down 3%, while the rest of the space is pretty neutral, but you got to understand Chainlink has been doing great. In fact, we already broke a previous high. So coming back into the range is not a good thing, but at least that Chainlink, at the end of the day, dipping down 3% after a major rally is absolutely normal, and it's fine. It's only 3%. And as we keep on going down, we have SUI breaking down, guys. That's an opportunity. In my opinion, if you're bullish on SUI, you should be watching the chart. Put this on a watch list. On the 7-day, we're pretty much down double digits almost. We're almost there at 10% to the downside. And if you look at it from its top, it's down a little bit more than that. It's a large cap. It's definitely bullish. Keep it in mind when you get these oversold conditions and opportunities, such as even AVAX. AVAX is a little bit of a dip here. Let's pay attention to these because these are opportunities. And as we keep on going down, you do see that there's tons of opportunity. OKB is not it. OKB is still running, still cranking to the upside. Monero finding its horizontal here. What else do we got? We got BitGet doing pretty good. BGB token, nice little pump to the upside. Now holding steady. That's not bad. It is at local resistance. However, as you can see, the rest of these fractals, beginning with Athena, all the way down to pretty much Arbitrum, you can see that these fractals are exactly the same, downwards trending, after bounce, dead cat bounce, after dead cat bounce. As you can see, all we really need here now is to confirm a lower low, and that would be pretty ugly. So what that means is that a lot of these projects, look, BitTensor already did that. It broke down even lower, so not a good thing. Athena's working on it, so we are clearly still in a downtrend. Clearly, on the lower time frame. Just keep in mind that these fractals are a 1-hour time frame fractal, so it's short term. Be understanding of that, and of course, if you're getting into shorts, they should be shorts, meaning you should be looking for the shortest shorts in your closet and making sure that you get in and you get out, because ultimately, I don't think these shorts are going to last very long. Okay, so I think the majority of the downtrend is already in, and we're looking desperately now for a bottom. ARB coming down once again, 3%. And there's a few others. Generally speaking, on average, we're pretty much neutral here for the day. You know, some of them more than others, 3%, give or take. Look at Say, look at Render, 3%. Okay, yeah, I get it. You know, ultimately, that's a concern. We don't want to see those dips. But generally speaking here, guys, I believe that the market is trying to find its bottom. You know, little by little, that's what we get, those rounded bottom type of scenarios. We get those market structures that shift from bearish to bullish. We need to have patience within those transitionary phases. And that's where a lot of people don't show the patience, and then we end up getting wrecked. Okay, so ultimately, we need to show patience. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin talking about HBAR, Hedera hashgraph. Let's take a look at what's going on here with the socials. Let's begin. At the end of the day, we do see HBAR looking pretty good. Total market cap right around $10 billion, doing awesome. And then we keep on going down. You see metrics are pretty good. Total supply, max supply, you know, is pretty much maxed out here, which is good. Circulating supply has a little bit more to be released. But ultimately speaking, guys, tokenomics here are fine. What has been Hedera hashgraph up to in the last little while? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. At the end of the day, guys, you guys know that I follow Bitcoin's price action significantly, and I'm going to be trying to change up the structure here on the channel for the next little while. I'm going to change it up to try to see if the format suits better. Before we get into this, I want to see what the HBAR community has been up to. So let's take a look at their socials. This is the HBAR Twitter page. You can see that, you know, HBAR's governance is quite interesting because it's governed by a council, and the council is members of various institutions. You know, businesses within the tech field, more or less. As you can see, we have prime, you know, logos here. Dell. We have, of course, Google, IBM, LG, and many others. You know, many others, obviously, within the space, and many others. So this is really, really good. Now, ultimately, this is a level of decentralization. Okay, but it also is a level of centralization, but it is a level of decentralization in such that, you know, governance is basically held by these individuals that make up the council. Now, the council, these individuals are voted in, and so on and so forth. So there's a level of decentralization, and what's interesting is that you're getting the expertise of a lot of these businesses, which, if you find interesting, that's obviously a value proposition. Now, we can see that, you know, it's been around doing its thing. It's starting to get institutional acceleration of the real world asset narrative, obviously a very hard narrative, tokenizing assets. We have Apple, Tesla, and gold natively natively to the network, which is interesting. Of course, we want that institutional grade scenario. What else do we got here? Robinhood has officially listed HBAR. That's pretty good. Of course, we're getting into the TradFi scene, which is going to give HBAR some exposure. And that's about it. There's probably more here, guys, but I'm just giving you a quick rundown what they've been up to. What's the top of their social campaign at the current moment? Well deserved. Cool stuff here. Lots of engagement. Good stuff. So generally speaking, we can see that they have been working. HBAR is finally live on Kraken. As you can see, they've been working. They're getting listed. Coinbase, we're excited to announce the Hashpack app, a leading wallet for the HBAR ecosystem, has integrated Coinbase on-ramp. You can see they're working. They're getting some stuff going. Now, could the fundamentals be showing us some good stuff here in relation to price action as well? So let's take a look. At the end of the day, HBAR is, you know, has a history with me. You know, we've been friends for a good while. The reality is that I kind of put it on the back burner. And to be honest, I'm kind of happy I did, right? Because my entry levels were down here. I started making videos on HBAR a while back. If you guys recall, go check out the YouTube channel. I got all of them there, all the videos. Ultimately, this was the level of interest that I found HBAR to be the best risk to reward opportunity. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because you really have to put it into context as to who's buying here, right? Who's buying now? They're a little bit late. It's not severely late, but I'm saying you're not buying absolute bottoms. You're not buying bear market bottoms. Let's be real. And I know a lot of the altcoins haven't woken up, but I'm going to tell you this. HBAR woke up. As you can see, HBAR pumped. A lot of altcoins haven't. Well, HBAR is not one of them. It has moved. Is it done moving? I don't think so. Is it done cranking? Is it an in-price discovery? Is it, you know, none of that. So we got a little bit of upside still. However, guys, is it a good risk to reward ratio opportunity? There's two things to think about. Number one, big picture. It is not. You can see this was the bottom, and we are here, and this is all-time highs. You know what? I think big picture is better to get into the 4 days, so I can show you structure a little bit better. Okay, and I'm going to just tell you what I mean. Now, we're going to have a couple of mindsets here. Obviously, the time frames matter. I would say that this is a good level to keep an eye on, given above this level, you do see that, volume decreases significantly. So emotional reactions should decrease significantly. Then from there, what we're going to look at is where we are right now, which we're at about 23 cents, something like that, which is fine. However, you can see local top is right here pretty much. And you can see that the bottom is all the way down here, pretty much. And you can see that the risk to reward ratio is not in your favor from this perspective, from the range, the big picture range, tops, bottoms. We need to break this big range. This is the macro, the big picture range. If we can break this range, price discovery, we're going to start cranking, obviously. But what do we do in the meantime? We need to respect this range. Now, if we start zooming in a little bit, now the 4 day is going to become a little bit irrelevant, but I do want you to understand that from about here, maybe a little lower, right? We do have an imbalance, okay? And since I put this red box from around this zone, we definitely had some price action. And this price action, although there was some volume right into here, is generally, a low volume. The majority of this volume into this candle actually got put in right into this level, a lot of it. So what we're going to have to do is reposition a little bit of this. We're going to move the goalpost just a little bit because, again, this price action, did change things. I just want to keep in mind the TA was very respected. If you'd happened to buy down here and you ran it up to this level and took profit and was patient enough for it to drop, you were able to reaccumulate at this green arrow. Perfect, beautiful, bounce, resistance again around this level. Now again, we're slowly zoning in. We're slowly zoning in from the perspective of where did you buy it? If you bought it at this pump, you're still holding and you're still holding strong. If you're looking for entries, we're slowly going to start zooming in on the structure again. Big picture, we covered it. Now small picture, you can see we got the low, a lower high. And we got a low, double bottom, nice response, break of structure to the upside, a nice break of the previous high, giving us a higher high. Now, do we finally come down and get a higher low? Guys, that would be your last potential opportunity to start going long before we start looking for a proper change of character in this structure. Okay, so right now we're talking about market structure. It began. The market structure shift, the change of character and market structure analysis has begun. This is why I'm bringing it to you here today, because right now HBAR is looking like it may start gearing up for another expansion to the upside. But we need one more confirmation would be good. Now, little by little, I'm going to show you what I mean. As you can see, we got rejected here, and fine, at this order block it didn't have enough the strength to actually break through. So what we're doing now is coming down to lower levels, trying to pick up some bullish bids from bulls that are bullish, and at the same time sellers are going to sell. People that are worried about this and bought here are going to sell. People that bought here and are slowly taking profits, maybe they bought here, they took a bit here, now they're on the exit pump, they're taking a little bit more, and that's fine. You got to understand that's the nature of the game. People are trading, people deserve to take their profits. You can't hate on that. The difference is that what are you going to do about that? Are you going to be buying their sales? Are you going to be buying the sell pressure and alleviating the sell pressure by accumulating at this level? Personally speaking, it's very risky. However, we have to understand that there's two structures that we got to deal with. This top and this bottom defining one structure, and this level right here that is defining another structure. So there's a lot of structures being formed here on big picture, midterm, and short term. So little by little. Now, what I'm expecting here is if we break below 23 cents, it is very likely that we see HBAR come back down and perhaps, test the zone again. And what we really want to make sure is that we don't fall too deep. In fact, what we want to understand is that our invalidation of our bullish thesis basically gets invalidated right here. This is our invalidation. Let's make it a little bit thicker right around here. If we break below these wicks, guys, forget about it. This is very likely to come down and hunt liquidity where it matters most, at the max pain zone, all the way down here. We got to understand that this level right here needs to hold support. So based on that mentality, where we are right now, given the fact that we're getting rejected, this is the resistance, this is the current support, and this is the ultimate support in the midterm. Long term, this is the support. So you got to choose what time frames you're dealing with. Now, for me, personally speaking, I like to trade multiple time frames. I don't mind getting into a trade based on this structure. And then ultimately, if it comes down here, I don't mind getting into a trade based on this structure, because that entry, if we happen to come down here and respect this 200 daily EMA right into this level, respect the zone, give us a confirmation. Let's do some Fibonacci's. Swing low, to swing high. If we come down to the 786, even golden pocket, and give us a nice retracement to this zone right here, I will be slamming some buy orders right into here, especially if we drop to the 4 hour, 1 hour, and right into this area, we start getting a change of character in oversold conditions on those lower time frames. I would be happy to start deploying capital, assuming that we do not fall again below invalidation, which is more or less right around 12 cents. So this is the mentality. Okay, so this is what the opportunity is if we come down here. Now I'm going to tell you this, guys. If you enter right now, the issue is that even from this level, your risk to reward ratio is trash. You got to understand that, right? Like if you enter right here and you start where are you going to put your stop loss? All the way down here? Okay, where's resistance? We talked about that. First level of resistance is right here. Forget about it. Guys, there's no long opportunity there. And then if we get up to here, even still, there's no long opportunity. Your ratio's garbage, right? So you got to be real with that. Are you going to short? I'll tell you this. Shorting the ratio is a lot better. As you can, I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to show you. And I'm not telling you to go short but I understand the ratio is a little bit better because ultimately what you want to do is make sure that your losses are mitigated through a healthy entry where your invalidation is very close by. Let's say that you enter here, you put your stop loss up here, and let's say you go all the way down here, and that's your invalidation. Okay, ratio's a little bit better. Okay, just a little bit. It's not a significant. You can probably squeeze in a 2-to-1. But still, guys, it's not worth it, okay? Because really what you should be waiting for is, if you're going to go short, is a bounce up to here. We already kind of got a dead cat bounce, and I'm looking at the 4-day. We should jump to the daily. As you can see, we got a beautiful dead cat bounce right into here, suggesting that, yeah, maybe, V rejection and rounded top. That looks very like an inverse Adam and Eve structure. That's ugly. If we break this bottom, guys, we're falling, and that's a fact. It's very possible that once we break the structure, it's very factual that it's a change of character. It is soon to be called and defined a lower low and a lower high, a change of direction of the trend. And that's a fact. There's nothing to debate about it. A lower high and a lower low defined by breaking below here is going to give us a downtrend. And then the question is, how low do we go? Okay, so we got to keep facts clear. Right? And at the current moment, we are holding structure, which is also very factual. Why? Because we did not make a lower low. So how do we play this, right? We have no choice but to integrate structures. Again, market structure and looking for liquidity zones is important. Now, I'm just going to quickly remove this artwork so that we can focus once again, because these are very bold statements that I'm making, because again, the volatility has been real in this market. And again, if Bitcoin and Ethereum continue looking slumpy, there's no doubt in my mind that the bears are going to start coming in. We're going to get a bit of a sell-off because of the fear, and it's very possible that we break below this thick white line. Okay, what that means is that also risk to reward ratio is healthy. Let me shift a little bit, because you're probably saying, but Mike, you're confusing me. Well, guess what? Trading can be very confusing, especially if you're trying to manage timeframes. And that's right now, HBAR is a perfect resemblance on how you should be trained. Your eye should be trained on how to identify the proper time frame. This right here has to be a lower time frame trade. It could be looked at or analyzed on the daily, but entries and exits cannot be done on the daily. Hold on a second. Now, if we look at this level, right, we know our invalidation is very clear. So why not put a stop loss underneath? This is the setup. This is the setup that could probably give you an opportunity to enter a long position right now, right? Because we don't know if this ends up being a bull flag. Although what I'm saying at this current moment, saying that if it breaks below, it's going to come down. Yeah, that sounds bearish. It's very valid. However, what about if it maintains and respects that horizontal still, and the structure turns into a bull flag after a bullish move to the upside? Guys, this is the way bull flags are formed. So we have to understand that if this gets respected and gets back to the top of the range, our invalidation is right here. Very clear. Super clear. So what do? Let's talk about a setup again. So we start looking at long setups. We enter here. We put our stop loss under here. Give it wiggle room, because market makers might come down and hunt that level. Get below, backtest and spring. I'll show you what I mean in a second. But define resistance is still here. Okay, nothing has changed. That is still resistance. But look at your ratio now. It's 3-to-1. Right? And we're still bullish on what's happening in this market. Look at the volume. Look at the market participation. Look at the goons that pumped this price up. Volume-induced price action is bullish price action, in this case, to the upside. Okay, so very, very good. Now, we really have to drop at least to the 6 hour. So let's do that. Let's see how this looks. Is there a market structure shift here? It's going to be very hard to define the market structure shift on the 6 hour. Let's drop to the 4 hour. As you can see, and I'm not even using oscillators at the current moment, guys. You guys know that I'm a momentum trader and I use oscillators quite a bit. Of course, I use synergy signal. I'm going to show you all of this stuff in a second. But yeah, as you can see, we're still making lower lows. Let's just be clear, lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so that's still in a downtrend. What we are looking for here on lower time frames to get a proper entry is a change of character, and we could be building one very, very soon right into this bottom. What I define that as, and what a change of character is no more lower lows and lower highs. Okay, what we need is a higher high and a higher low. Is this low going to be higher than this low? Maybe. It's working on it. It's possible. And then what we need is a break of this high. Is that possible? Sure, let's make a higher high. Right? And then all of a sudden we made a higher high and a higher low, and let's go up for higher highs and higher lows. And then what we need to do is get to this level. That's where the real magic happens, because if we can break out of this, maybe we get into some sideways consolidation for a quick exchange of hands, and then bang, continue to the upside. And then when we start looking at it, we start to say, well, dang, maybe we traded this range like a champion. And it's very possible, because ultimately your risk to reward ratio is in your favor. What you have to do is try to get your entry here and make sure that you have your stop loss here. If we end up breaking to the upside, this is your exit position. Now, do you really have to exit your entire position? No. You can trail up a stop loss, take 10% off the top, and let's hope that this turns into a bull flag to the upside. So you're not a breakout trader here. In fact, what you're looking for is a bottom where you can get some support. That is a better strategy than breakout trading. Personally speaking, of course, as a trader for many years, for me, it's about risk to reward and risk management. And based on that, I want to be buying from a position of strength, not weakness. And strength for me means finding a foundation of where I can put a stop loss to mitigate all my losses and have options. And this is what I mean. If HBAR falls below the horizontal, right, and even if we backtest, right, which happens a lot, if I'm able to accumulate within this range where we are right now and find that nice market structure on lower time frames, even if we come back for that backtest, I can decide whether this backtest becomes resistance and exit my position with a very small loss, as you can tell. Right now, if I start buying up here, even like, up at the top of the range, guys, that's a position of weakness. You're a breakout trader. You're buying local resistance. Local tops are right here, right? And that's usually a very, troublesome thing for a lot of trades. So this is why I look for these levels. Now, we got to be real. Right now there's a bit of negativity out there. I don't think this negativity in the market is going to last too long. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a nice green weekend. To be honest, we had a fairly rough couple of days. Maybe a bit of a recovery over the weekend could be very possible. But at the end of the day, as you can see, HBAR, the way it's set up at the current moment, there's a lot of possibility. Let's take a look at indicators for a second. Let's see what's going on with momentum. Momentum's in a downtrend. Very clear in the downtrend. If it does the downtrend continue where we start to see follow through and get into oversold conditions? That is the issue. That is the biggest worry for a lot of us traders that trade momentum, is that once we see oversold conditions and we get below the 30 mark, we see the purple line get below, guys, it's very likely that we see the bigger move to the downside, the expansion to the downside. Another thing that I don't like, which again is based on momentum, I want to see volatility. Right? As traders, we need volatility. Well, the orange line right now is representing volatility, and unfortunately, it's bearish volatility. But what I do see is it, getting a bit of, maybe it's going to Uno reverse. Maybe we're going to reverse here. I do see how it's reacting here, and it doesn't look like it's that strong, and it could be that we're ready to reverse. I don't know, guys, but I'm not betting on it. I just like the market structure. I can expect this to happen and then finally pump. And in that meantime, we finish the bearish response. We see volatility coming down to oversold condition. We hang out here for a bit and then bang, bullish response, and then maybe move to the upside. In the meantime, guys, this is the market structure that I would be trading. I would be putting this on a watch list. I would be preparing for a bull flag continuation with a clear invalidation below. In the meantime, there's so much that could be said on many time frames. As you can see, I did the big picture, the midterm, and obviously the short term, and you can see that there's still a lot to be said here about Hedera hashgraph HBAR. So looking pretty good. Bullish continuation to the upside is very possible. Invalidation below the thick white line. If it falls below, this is your next entry points where you should be accumulating, because ultimately if we coming down to these levels and start hunting liquidity, guys, that's an opportunity. Right, that's an opportunity. I don't know if we're ever going to get down here again, but coming down to these bottoms is definitely an opportunity. A dip right into this level is also an opportunity for a nice confirmation low, a higher low. I would be accumulating all into this range if possible, to the point that what I'm going to do is this. Let's get rid of this. No, actually, let's not get rid of it. Let's quickly just change its color. We're going to make it yellow. Why? Because that is accumulation zone. Let's do one of these. Accumulation zone. That's part of my language here when I do my charts. Yellow boxes, like anything below here, it's in a discount. It probably dropped more than 50% already, and it's very likely that we're going to be looking and battling here for that confirmation though. All right, guys, so if I've offered you any value here in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. I also have some great links to BitNext. If you're looking for an exchange, that is a great exchange to get going. They're offering great trading bonuses. Follow me on the socials. The links are in the description, and join that Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.